5 situations where you should never be silent. Stoic philosophy. While listening is undoubtedly important, there are moments in life when silence is no longer golden. It's a silent agreement with the status quo, often allowing injustice or misunderstanding to persist. In today's fast-paced world, staying quiet can be the most dangerous choice we make, especially when it means neglecting our values or missing the chance to make a difference. Have you ever found yourself holding back your voice because it felt too risky, like when witnessing unfairness at work, or when family traditions conflicted with your personal beliefs? In this video, we'll explore 5 situations where silence isn't just passive, it's a betrayal of your values. We'll also dive into 6 strategies to help you speak up effectively when it matters most. I'd love to hear from you. What situations in your life have you struggled with speaking up, and how did it affect you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's embark on this journey together toward finding our voice. Welcome to Stoic in Your Life. Number 1. When injustice happens. Injustice is much more than a theoretical concept. It is a toxic, corrosive force that eats away at the very foundations of trust, fairness, and dignity that hold our communities and relationships together. When we allow injustice to unfold without standing up to it, we do not remain neutral. We become complicit in it. To witness unfairness, discrimination, or cruelty, and choose to remain silent is to actively decide to let harm go unchallenged. This is not merely an absence of action, it is an active decision to let something wrong continue unchecked. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once said, "What's not good for the hive is not good for the bee." This simple yet profound quote reminds us that the well-being of the individual is inextricably tied to the well-being of the collective. If we allow harm to spread within a community, no matter how distant from us it seems, we will ultimately feel its effects. Stoic philosophy teaches that all things are interconnected, and we cannot thrive in a society that permits injustice to flourish unchecked. But why, then, do we often stay silent when we witness injustice? The answer, more often than not, is rooted in fear. The fear of confrontation, retaliation, or even the possibility of social exclusion. These fears are deeply ingrained in our nature and are not without merit. They are a survival mechanism that has evolved over time. However, when these fears control our actions, they can paralyze us, turning us into unwitting accomplices in the very injustice we would rather avoid. I remember a specific time early in my career when I witnessed an injustice unfold right before me, yet chose to remain silent. A colleague was unfairly blamed for a mistake they did not commit. I knew the truth. I had seen the events leading up to the error, and could have easily spoken up to clarify the situation. Yet, I hesitated. I feared that speaking up would jeopardize my own position or spark conflict within the team. In that moment, I prioritized my comfort over what I knew to be right. My silence protected my personal security but betrayed my values and the integrity I had once prided myself on. Watching my colleague endure unwarranted criticism was like watching a slow-motion betrayal, not just of them, but of my own moral compass. The guilt I carried with me afterward was deep and uncomfortable, but it served as an invaluable lesson. Silence in the face of injustice is never neutral. It only allows the injustice to grow. In our modern world, speaking up against injustice does not always require grand, dramatic actions or speeches. More often than not, it is the small, everyday acts of courage that have the greatest impact. Speaking the truth in a meeting, standing with someone who is being unfairly treated, or simply refusing to ignore harmful behavior, can have a ripple effect that extends far beyond the immediate moment. Stoicism teaches us that true courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In modern Stoicism, this lesson encourages us to reflect on our actions and reactions to the challenges we face, reminding us that our character is not shaped by our emotions, but by the choices we make. When we choose to act with integrity, despite our fears, We not only affirm our personal values, but we also contribute to the greater good, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable it might be. The next time you encounter injustice, take a moment to reflect on this question. Is my comfort worth more than someone else's dignity? What will the consequences be if I choose silence? The answer to this question is not always easy to confront, but it is important to realize that silence may seem like the safer path, but it only strengthens the very forces of harm we wish to oppose. Speaking up, even when it is uncomfortable or risky, is what makes the world a better, more just place. Every act of courage, no matter how small, contributes to the creation of a society where fairness and integrity prevail. By embracing modern Stoicism, we equip ourselves with the tools to act courageously in the face of adversity, and we gain the wisdom to understand that even our smallest actions can create profound shifts in the world around us. Through our words and actions, we can shape a more just world, one choice at a time. So remember, when injustice calls, silence is never the answer. Choose to speak up and let your actions be a testament to the integrity you wish to see in the world. Number 2, when boundaries are crossed. One of the most crucial situations where silence is not an option is when your boundaries are crossed. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define what is acceptable in any relationship. They are vital for preserving respect, trust, and integrity. Without them, relationships can quickly become imbalanced, and respect can be lost. Unfortunately, many of us struggle to assert our boundaries and often remain silent when they are tested, thinking that staying quiet will avoid conflict or keep the peace. However, what we don't realize is that by remaining silent, we send a message that our needs and limits are negotiable. Over time, this can lead to frustration, resentment, and even exploitation, which can damage or destroy relationships. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "No one is free who is not master of himself." He meant that true freedom comes from being in control of our emotions, decisions, and boundaries. When we allow others to cross our boundaries without speaking up, we give away control over our lives, which is the opposite of freedom. To maintain healthy relationships and protect ourselves, we must defend our boundaries, not to push people away, but to honor ourselves and communicate how we want to be treated. I learned this lesson firsthand with a close family member who repeatedly asked for money, promising to pay it back but never following through. At first, I justified it by telling myself that helping family was my duty. However, as the amounts grew and promises went unfulfilled, frustration and resentment built up inside me. Despite this, I stayed silent, thinking that if I just kept giving, everything would work out. I thought it would be easier to give in than to set a boundary. But over time, I realized that my silence wasn't protecting the relationship. It was undermining it. After much reflection, I decided to set a firm boundary. I told my family member that, while I loved them, I could no longer lend money without a clear plan for repayment. I made it clear that I would offer support in other ways, but financial help was off the table. The conversation was uncomfortable at first, and my family member was hurt and defensive. However, as time went on, they began to understand my position, and our relationship improved with greater honesty and respect. This experience taught me that setting boundaries is not about creating conflict. It's about affirming your self-worth and ensuring that others respect you. We often stay silent, thinking we're protecting someone else's feelings or keeping the peace, but in reality, we're compromising our own values and enabling unhealthy behavior. When we fail to assert our boundaries, we allow others to treat us in ways that don't align with our needs or desires. Setting boundaries doesn't mean shutting people out. It's about protecting what matters most: your time, energy, resources, and peace of mind. Effective communication of boundaries requires clarity, firmness, and empathy. It's not about being aggressive, but about fostering healthier, more respectful interactions. Instead of blaming or accusing, you could say, "I feel overwhelmed when this happens, and I need us to approach this differently." This allows you to assert your limits while still being mindful of the other person's feelings. When you stand firm in defending your boundaries, you not only show others that you value yourself, but you also encourage them to treat you with the same respect. This leads to stronger, more authentic relationships based on mutual trust. It's an environment where both people can thrive, rather than one person feeling drained or exploited. When it comes to your boundaries, whether in personal, professional, or familial relationships, remember this Stoic secret. Silence is not always golden. Your silence in these situations may actually do more harm than good. It's in speaking up and asserting your limits that you honor yourself and create space for healthier, more respectful connections. What boundaries do you need to set today? And how can you do so in a way that fosters mutual respect? How would your relationships improve if you communicated your needs clearly and confidently? By applying these Stoic principles, you can create balanced relationships where everyone thrives. Number 3. When honesty is crucial for integrity. Honesty is the foundation of integrity, and yet in our modern world, we often find ourselves sacrificing this virtue for the sake of convenience, comfort, or to avoid conflict. While silence may seem like a peaceful solution, there are times when withholding the truth isn't just about avoiding discomfort. It's an active betrayal of our own principles. The Stoics emphasize living in alignment with virtue, and honesty is an essential pillar of that alignment. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In moments where silence seems like the easier path, we must remember that not speaking out when the truth is required is, in itself, a form of deceit. Withholding information or failing to address what we know to be true enables deception to continue and compromises our own integrity. I vividly recall a moment in my early career that tested my commitment to honesty. During a team meeting, a supervisor presented a report with significant inaccuracies. The errors were not intentional, but they misrepresented key details of the project, and if left unaddressed, they could have led to serious consequences. Everyone in the room noticed the mistakes, but no one spoke up. The atmosphere grew heavy with the unspoken knowledge that something was wrong. In that moment, my natural instinct was to remain silent, to avoid confrontation, and to let someone else point out the discrepancies. However, I realized that silence would make me complicit in the distortion of the facts. My hesitation was rooted in fear, the fear of causing discomfort, of upsetting the status quo. But the truth weighed heavily on me, and I understood that my silence would not only jeopardize the project, but also undermine my own values. With a deep breath, I decided to speak up. I raised my hand and gently pointed out the inaccuracies in the report. The room fell silent, and I could feel the tension rising. I knew I was walking a delicate line, but I also knew that what was at stake was far more important than avoiding an uncomfortable moment. My intervention led to a correction of the report, and the project moved forward with greater clarity and integrity. That experience taught me an invaluable lesson. Honesty isn't just about speaking the truth when it's easy. It's about having the courage to speak up when it's difficult, when it feels uncomfortable, and when the stakes are high. The Stoic tradition teaches us that true courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. In these moments, when honesty is at risk, the act of speaking the truth is a powerful measure of character. People admire those who stand firm in their principles, even when it would be easier to remain silent. But it's important to remember that honesty doesn't require being unnecessarily blunt or harsh. Stoic wisdom guides us to balance truth with compassion and respect. The goal is not to be self-righteous or judgmental, but to communicate with clarity and authenticity. By choosing our words carefully and with respect for others, we honor both the truth and the dignity of those around us. In today's world, where we often find ourselves caught in a web of half-truths, misinformation, and personal interests, choosing to speak the truth, especially when it's difficult, sets a powerful example. Your willingness to stand for honesty, even when it's uncomfortable, fosters an environment of trust and integrity. It encourages others to follow suit, creating a ripple effect that strengthens the relationships around you. Silence may preserve a temporary sense of peace, but it ultimately erodes the foundation of trust and integrity that is crucial for any healthy relationship, whether in the workplace, with friends, or with family. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only true security." When we act in alignment with our values, especially when it's uncomfortable, we secure our inner freedom from compromise and deceit. In the realm of modern Stoicism, the value of integrity and honesty is not just a moral directive, but a practice that enhances our lives in profound ways. It requires the courage to speak up when silence might seem easier, and the wisdom to recognize that true peace does not come from avoiding the truth, but from living in accordance with it. When faced with situations that challenge our integrity, remember that the discomfort of truth is far less harmful than the corrosion of trust that silence breeds. By embracing the challenge of honesty, we not only strengthen our character but also foster a culture of openness, respect, and accountability that can have lasting, positive effects in all areas of life. When you witness injustice, do you feel the urge to stay silent or do you speak up? Comment yes if you've ever had the courage to act, or 1 if you're ready to start standing up for what's right. And don't forget to watch till the end of the video because there's even more wisdom coming your way, especially the last 3 points which promise to bring surprising insights that you won't want to miss. Number 4. When a mistake needs correction. Mistakes are an unavoidable part of life, whether in our personal relationships, careers, or day-to-day activities. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that the path to growth and improvement often involves confronting discomfort, and that includes acknowledging and correcting mistakes. To the Stoics, errors are not failures, they are opportunities for learning and development. However, when mistakes go unaddressed, they can quietly grow like small cracks in a dam, posing a risk of larger, more serious consequences. Ignoring mistakes doesn't make them disappear. It only allows the issue to compound and worsen over time, often leading to bigger problems in the future. I recall a particular instance early in my career when a mistake went unnoticed during a crucial team presentation. Although the error wasn't mine, it had the potential to derail the success of the project. It was a small miscalculation in a report that, if left uncorrected, could have resulted in faulty decisions. The person responsible for the mistake was present in the meeting, but I hesitated to speak up. I feared causing unnecessary conflict or being labeled a troublemaker. But as the meeting continued, I realized that bringing up the mistake wasn't about pointing fingers. It was about protecting the integrity of the project and ensuring the team made informed decisions. With discomfort, I chose to interrupt the conversation and point out the error. The room grew tense, and I felt the weight of my decision. However, my action led to a productive discussion that allowed us to correct the mistake before it caused further damage. This experience taught me that addressing mistakes is not about shaming anyone. It's about fostering accountability and ensuring the success of the collective effort. The Stoic principle, "What stands in the way becomes the way," as Marcus Aurelius put it, is especially relevant here. The mistake was not an obstacle, but an opportunity to act with virtue, demonstrating courage, responsibility, and integrity. Confronting the error was not a sign of weakness. It was an affirmation of my commitment to the greater good. In professional settings, the key to addressing mistakes effectively lies in how we approach them. Rather than focusing on assigning blame, we should focus on finding solutions. The goal should not be to embarrass someone, but to improve the situation and move the project or relationship forward. By creating an environment where mistakes are seen as opportunities for growth, we encourage openness and learning. In such environments, people feel more comfortable acknowledging their errors and taking corrective action, leading to better decision-making and improved outcomes. On the other hand, ignoring mistakes to avoid discomfort or preserve harmony ultimately harms everyone involved, as unaddressed issues often lead to more significant problems down the road. In today's fast-paced world, Especially within modern work environments that prioritize speed and efficiency, it's easy to overlook mistakes, hoping they will resolve themselves. However, modern Stoicism teaches us that avoiding difficult situations only leads to bigger problems later. When we fail to address errors promptly, we allow them to fester, and they can grow in ways that are harder to fix in the future. That's why it's essential to have the courage to speak up when a mistake needs correction. Correcting mistakes doesn't make you a troublemaker. It shows that you are a steward of truth and progress. By addressing issues head-on, you demonstrate that you value integrity, growth, and the collective success of your team or community. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This timeless wisdom reminds us that how we respond to mistakes is what truly matters. It's our reaction, not the mistake itself, that defines our character. When we choose to address errors in a constructive, transparent manner, we contribute to personal and collective growth. We demonstrate that our focus is not just on avoiding discomfort, but on making decisions that promote long-term success and integrity. Modern Stoicism encourages us to see these moments as opportunities to cultivate virtue and contribute to the greater good, not just for ourselves but for everyone around us. Through our actions, we can create a culture of improvement and accountability, ensuring that mistakes become stepping stones on the path to progress rather than obstacles to success. It's our response to mistakes that shapes our character and the environment we create. By embracing the lessons they offer and approaching them with the courage and integrity taught by Stoicism, we not only foster personal growth but also contribute to a more open, accountable, and successful community. Our actions, no matter how small, set the foundation for a better, more virtuous world. Number 5. When your expertise can help others. There are moments in life when silence isn't just unnecessary, it's harmful. One such moment is when you have knowledge, expertise, or personal experiences that could genuinely help others. Knowledge is not merely a personal asset, it carries a responsibility. When you possess insights that could ease someone's pain, solve a problem, or offer clarity in a difficult situation, silence isn't a virtue. It becomes a missed opportunity to offer support that could change someone's life. The Stoics understood this concept deeply. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." This reminds us that what benefits the community also benefits the individual. Withholding wisdom when it could relieve someone's suffering is not only a disservice to them, but to yourself as well. Too often we believe that by staying silent, we are being respectful or considerate. However, silence in these situations doesn't preserve peace. It withholds a lifeline. I once learned this lesson the hard way when a close friend was grieving the loss of a loved one. Having gone through a similar loss myself, I recognized the signs of emotional withdrawal and isolation. I knew what they were experiencing, but I hesitated to reach out. I feared my words might be awkward, that my advice might be unwanted or intrusive, or that I might somehow make things worse. I convinced myself that silence was the more respectful choice, that I should let them process their grief alone. Yet as the days passed, I realized that my silence wasn't offering them comfort, it was leaving them to struggle alone. I was avoiding helping them because of my own fear. This realization was difficult, but it was clear that I had to act. One evening, I decided to send a simple message. "I know this pain is hard to carry alone. I've been there, and if it helps, I'd love to share what helped me." That humble gesture opened the door for a much-needed conversation. Over time, my insights offered my friend comfort and guidance, and we were able to engage in a healing dialogue. This experience reminded me of the power our personal experiences have in guiding others. Whether you're offering advice on financial struggles, sharing emotional support with someone in recovery, or providing wisdom gained from personal hardships, your knowledge can help others find their way through challenging times. But sharing this wisdom requires humility. It's not about assuming that your way is the only way or imposing your solution on others. It's about offering your perspective with empathy and understanding for the other person's unique journey. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control how others will respond to our advice or insights, but we can control our intentions. When we choose to share our knowledge, we should do so with the goal of genuinely helping, not for recognition, and certainly not to make ourselves feel superior. This mindset is powerful in building trust and fostering deeper connections between people. When we withhold our wisdom in moments when it could alleviate someone else's suffering, we are denying them the very help they might need to overcome their challenges. Epictetus reminds us, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." The most effective way to help others is not by explaining what we know, but by living it out. In living our lessons, we show others the way, not through our words but through our actions. By sharing our experiences and wisdom, we not only uplift others, but we also deepen our own sense of purpose and connection to the world. The knowledge we gain from our struggles is not meant to be kept for our own benefit, but shared for the betterment of others. So, consider these questions. When was the last time you held back something that could have helped someone else? Why did you stay silent? Was it out of fear, insecurity, or the belief that your experience wouldn't make a difference? How would your relationships and the lives of others change if you shared your knowledge more openly and with kindness? These Stoic secrets are not only meant to guide our own growth, they are tools to help others grow with us. By embracing these principles, we not only enrich the lives of those around us, but also grow stronger and more fulfilled in our own journey. If you've ever hesitated to speak up, especially when a mistake needs correction or you have valuable knowledge to share, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you agree that silence in those moments can sometimes do more harm than good? Let me know in the comments. Silence is not always golden, or addressing mistakes is key to growth. And don't forget to watch until the end of the video. I'll be sharing 6 powerful strategies on how to speak up effectively. These strategies will help you know when to stay quiet and when to take action for the greater good. 6 strategies to speak up effectively. Number 1. Speak up when you see injustice. Injustice, whether it appears in our personal lives, professional settings, or society at large, often thrives in the absence of action. When we stand by and remain silent in the face of wrongdoing, we unwittingly enable that injustice to persist. The Stoics recognized justice as more than just an abstract ideal. They saw it as a fundamental moral responsibility that requires active participation from each of us. Marcus Aurelius, one of the foremost Stoic philosophers, eloquently expressed this sentiment in his Meditations, writing, "What's not good for the hive is not good for the bee." In this metaphor, he illustrates that the welfare of a community is inherently connected to the well-being of every individual within it. When harm is allowed to continue unchecked, it impacts the entire community, including those who choose to remain silent. Silence in the face of injustice isn't neutrality. It is, in fact, complicity. The decision not to speak up when wrongdoings occur means allowing them to continue, and in doing so, we become part of the problem, not part of the solution. In our daily lives, many of us have witnessed moments of clear injustice, whether it's a colleague unfairly blamed for a mistake they didn't make, or someone being marginalized because of their race, gender, or social background. During such times, it can feel easier to remain silent, to avoid the discomfort of confrontation or the potential for conflict. However, choosing silence in these instances is often the greatest betrayal, not only to the person wronged but also to our own integrity. Stoicism teaches us that true peace is not the mere absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. Remaining silent in these circumstances does not preserve harmony. Rather, it permits injustice to fester and grow unchecked. Inaction in the face of wrongdoing is tantamount to silently endorsing it. Our failure to speak out weakens not just the immediate situation, but the moral foundation of society as a whole. Courageous action against injustice doesn't always require dramatic or grand gestures. It doesn't always mean speaking in front of a crowd or challenging an authority figure. Sometimes, it's as simple as standing up for a colleague who is unfairly accused, or voicing the truth when a lie is told. Other times, it may be as straightforward as offering support to someone who is being bullied or excluded in a conversation. These small but significant actions can have a profound impact, creating a ripple effect that encourages others to act similarly. Slowly but surely, these individual acts of courage build a culture where integrity, fairness, and justice are valued above all else. Even when the immediate situation doesn't feel like a victory, each small act of standing up strengthens the collective fight against injustice. These moments are not just acts of personal bravery. They are acts of humanity, reaffirming the belief that every person deserves dignity, respect, and fairness. In today's world, where injustice continues to manifest in countless forms, from workplace discrimination to systemic inequality, we are often faced with moments where we must choose. Do we remain passive and silent, or do we actively engage in the pursuit of justice? Choosing to speak out, to take a stand, is an essential component of modern Stoicism. It's a practice that aligns our actions with our deepest values. Every time we encounter injustice, we must ask ourselves, am I willing to step out of my comfort zone, to risk my peace and convenience, to do what is right? The Stoics understood that the integrity of the individual is inextricably tied to the integrity of the whole. Our silence in the face of wrongdoing is not a neutral stance. It is a decision that impacts the broader community. To act, to speak, and to stand for justice, especially when it is uncomfortable or difficult, is one of the most powerful expressions of virtue that we can embody. By doing so, we not only strengthen our own moral character, but also contribute to the creation of a more just and fair society. Modern Stoicism teaches us that our actions must align with our principles. It encourages us to face the discomfort that comes with standing up for what is right. And it reminds us that our silence in the face of injustice is not just a personal choice. It affects the broader world around us. In every instance where we encounter wrongdoing, we have the opportunity to make a choice. Will we remain silent, allowing the injustice to continue, or will we speak out, contributing to the collective pursuit of fairness and truth? Through our actions, no matter how small they may seem, we can help create a culture where justice prevails, where integrity is the standard, and where we all, as individuals and as a community, thrive. Number 2, speak up when your boundaries are crossed. Setting and maintaining boundaries is crucial for safeguarding your well-being and maintaining the integrity of your relationships, both personally and professionally. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define respect, trust, and emotional safety. When someone crosses these lines, whether intentionally or out of ignorance, staying silent can communicate that your limits are negotiable and that your needs and comfort are secondary to theirs. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that respecting and defending our values is fundamental to living a virtuous life. As Epictetus profoundly stated, no one is free who is not master of himself. In other words, true freedom comes from being the master of your own boundaries, and failing to assert them means giving up control over your own life. When we fail to set boundaries, we are not demonstrating humility, but neglecting our own well-being. Silence in these situations is often a sign of self-neglect, allowing others to infringe on our time, energy, and resources. This can erode the foundation of mutual respect and undermine the strength of our relationships. I once had a personal experience where a relative repeatedly borrowed money without returning it. Initially, I rationalized this behavior, telling myself that helping family was part of my responsibility. However, as the requests became more frequent and the amounts larger, I began to realize that I was enabling an unhealthy dynamic, and that my reluctance to set boundaries was actually harming both of us. It wasn't until I mustered the courage to speak up and establish clear limits that the situation shifted. It was uncomfortable at first. My relative was defensive and initially resistant to my decision. However, Once I communicated my boundaries respectfully, the relationship improved. This experience reinforced a crucial lesson. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about teaching others how to treat you. It is an act of self-respect that protects your emotional, financial, and physical well-being. By asserting your boundaries, you send a message that you value yourself and expect others to do the same. It reinforces the idea that your well-being should not be sacrificed for the convenience or desires of others. Stoicism teaches us that peace and contentment come from living in accordance with our values. When we allow our boundaries to be crossed without speaking up, we are not aligning ourselves with the principles of integrity and respect. On the other hand, speaking up for our boundaries is an essential part of living a life of virtue, one that reflects our commitment to personal growth and self-respect. Modern Stoicism offers us the tools to navigate these situations, teaching us that true strength lies not in passively accepting uncomfortable situations, but in addressing them with wisdom, clarity, and courage. In today's fast-paced world, where demands from work, family, and social commitments often pull us in many directions, it can be challenging to assert our boundaries. The fear of conflict, judgment, or simply the discomfort of confrontation can make us hesitate to speak up. Yet, by not speaking up, we enable a cycle of disrespect and self-sacrifice. Setting clear, healthy boundaries is an act of self-care and an essential practice for maintaining balance in our lives. When we communicate our boundaries clearly, we help others understand our needs and foster relationships built on mutual respect. As the Stoics remind us, life is not about avoiding discomfort, but about mastering our reactions to it. By embracing modern Stoicism, we learn to navigate the discomfort that comes with asserting our boundaries, understanding that it is through these actions that we protect our peace of mind and emotional health. We also teach others how to treat us, setting a standard for the respect we deserve. In the end, true peace comes not from avoiding conflict, but from having the courage to stand firm in our values, knowing that this alignment will lead to stronger, healthier relationships and a more fulfilling life. By speaking up when our boundaries are crossed, we ensure that we are not merely existing to meet the needs of others, but living a life that honors our own needs and values. This not only strengthens our sense of self, but also reinforces the idea that we are worthy of respect and care. Whether it's in personal relationships or professional settings, speaking up when your boundaries are crossed is an essential practice for living a life of integrity, respect, and personal freedom. Through these actions, we align ourselves with the Stoic ideal of living a virtuous life, where our peace and well-being are preserved, and where we act in accordance with our highest values. Number 3, speak up to protect your principles. One of the most significant times when silence is not just unnecessary but also harmful is when you're asked to compromise your principles. It may seem easier to stay quiet when the world pressures you to ignore your values, but that silence often breeds internal resentment and external chaos. Stoicism teaches us the importance of staying steadfast in our virtues, no matter what external forces may demand of us. We all face moments, whether at work, in relationships, or in our everyday lives, when we're asked to overlook something that conflicts with our integrity. And in those moments, staying silent may feel like the safest choice, but it often chips away at our self-respect and leaves us feeling disconnected from who we really are. Have you ever been in that position? Felt the pressure to turn a blind eye to something that didn't align with your values? I know I have. There was a time in my career when I was asked to ignore an ethical issue in a project, something that directly contradicted my values. The pressure to stay silent was overwhelming. I feared the potential backlash, the negative impact on my career, and the discomfort of speaking up. The fear of confrontation was paralyzing, and I began to doubt myself. Would I be making things worse? Was it worth risking everything? But deep down, I knew that if I stayed silent, I would be sacrificing more than just my job. I would be sacrificing my integrity, and that was something I couldn't live with. It was a defining moment, one that tested my ethics and my courage. In the end, I chose to speak up. I voiced my concerns about the ethical issue, despite all the fear and uncertainty swirling inside me. It wasn't easy. There were times when I doubted myself and wondered if I was making a mistake, but I stood firm, and that decision ended up making all the difference. It wasn't just about the project itself or the immediate consequences. By standing up for my principles, I reinforced my sense of self-respect and integrity, and I set a powerful precedent for future decisions. What I learned from that experience is this: silence, in the face of compromise, doesn't protect your values. It betrays them. When we remain silent in these situations, we not only compromise our integrity, but we also send the wrong message to those around us, that it's acceptable to let go of what's right when it's inconvenient or difficult. That's the last message we want to send. When we speak up, even when it's uncomfortable or risky, we not only reinforce our own values, but we also inspire respect in others. It builds a sense of trust and shows others that we stand for something greater than just self-interest. It strengthens your own sense of self-worth and self-esteem. And that, in the end, is a victory far greater than anything that could have been gained by staying silent. So I challenge you to reflect. How many times have you stayed silent, knowing that your principles were at risk? How did that silence affect your sense of self? How did it shape your relationships and your peace of mind? What if, next time, you found the courage to speak up, no matter the pressure or discomfort? By embracing these Stoic secrets, like standing firm in the face of moral compromise, you will not only maintain your integrity, but also empower yourself to navigate life's challenges with greater strength, clarity, and purpose. True peace doesn't come from avoiding conflict or sweeping things under the rug. It comes from aligning with your values, no matter the storm around you. The next time you're faced with the choice between silence and standing firm, remember that your integrity is worth the fight. What do you do if you witness injustice, see your boundaries violated, or are asked to compromise your principles? Do you speak up? Here are 3 ways you can respond. The first is, I will speak up and stand up for what is right, or I will set clear boundaries and protect them. The last is, I will stand up for my values no matter the cost. Let me know what you think in the comments, and be sure to stay tuned until the end of the video. There are 3 powerful lessons coming up that will surprise you. Number 4. Speak up to correct mistakes. Mistakes are an inevitable part of life, whether in our personal relationships, professional endeavors, or broader societal interactions. Yet, when they occur, silence can be a dangerous response, one that often leads to larger issues down the road. The Stoics, with their profound wisdom, emphasize the importance of accountability, not as a tool for blame or shame, but as a means of preserving the integrity of the work, the project, or the relationship. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, what stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, addressing mistakes is not a hindrance to progress, but rather, it is the very path to improvement and mastery. Mistakes are not obstacles. They are opportunities to refine and grow, both personally and collectively. In modern Stoicism, we learn that avoiding or ignoring errors doesn't make them disappear. It only allows them to fester and grow, eventually undermining our progress. I remember an experience early in my career when I observed a significant mistake during a team meeting, an oversight that could have caused serious complications if left unaddressed. At first, I hesitated. I wondered if it was my place to point out the error, or if I should just stay quiet and hope someone else noticed. The instinct to remain silent, to avoid rocking the boat, was strong. But the longer I waited, the clearer it became that ignoring the mistake would only worsen the situation. With a deep breath, I gathered the courage to speak up. I pointed out the error in a respectful manner, and as a result, it sparked a productive conversation that led to a quick solution. The project was saved, and we moved forward with clarity. That experience reinforced an important lesson. Speaking up to correct mistakes isn't about assigning blame or shaming others. It's about ensuring the integrity and quality of the work. It's about creating an environment where mistakes are seen as stepping stones to better outcomes, rather than as failures to be hidden or ignored. In modern life, whether we are working in a corporate setting, managing a team, or engaging in personal relationships, we are often faced with the challenge of how to handle mistakes. Ignoring them may feel like the easier route, especially when the mistake seems small or when there is a fear of causing tension. However, the consequences of silence can be far greater than the discomfort of addressing the issue head-on. When we choose to remain silent, we fail to correct the course and the problem can escalate, often causing more damage than if we had addressed it directly in the first place. This approach, as Stoicism teaches us, ultimately compromises our integrity and the integrity of the work at hand. In every situation, we must ask ourselves, am I willing to remain silent and let this mistake grow, or am I prepared to speak up for the sake of progress and improvement? Addressing mistakes, particularly in a constructive and respectful manner, fosters a culture of accountability, trust, and growth. It is not about pointing fingers or assigning fault, but about taking responsibility for the collective success of a project or relationship. When we acknowledge mistakes as opportunities to learn and improve, we transform them from negative events into essential moments of growth. By speaking up, we set a standard for accountability and honesty, encouraging others to do the same. It is in these small, everyday moments where integrity is built, and where we begin to cultivate the core virtues that define modern Stoicism: wisdom, courage, and self-discipline. Furthermore, the practice of addressing mistakes directly is an essential part of fostering trust and respect in any relationship, whether personal or professional. When we take ownership of errors and act swiftly to correct them, we show that we value the truth and the long-term success of the group over short-term comfort or avoiding confrontation. This is a key principle in modern Stoicism, that we must be willing to confront discomfort in the pursuit of virtue and the greater good. It is not easy to challenge mistakes, especially when they reflect on us personally or involve others we care about. However, the Stoic approach teaches us that it is better to confront the issue head-on and build trust, rather than allow the mistake to erode that trust over time. Speaking up to correct mistakes strengthens our own moral character and contributes to the growth of the community around us. By embracing mistakes as opportunities for learning and improvement, we not only uphold the integrity of our work, but also model the kind of responsible behavior that encourages others to do the same. Modern Stoicism encourages us to face mistakes with courage, not to shy away from them, and to act with the wisdom that true progress comes from confronting the obstacles in our path, not ignoring them. Every time we choose to speak up and correct an error, we reaffirm our commitment to integrity, growth, and the pursuit of excellence. Mistakes are not to be feared but embraced as crucial moments of learning that ultimately lead to greater success and fulfillment. Number 5. Speak up when your expertise can help. In life, we all possess unique knowledge, skills, and experiences that can benefit others. Yet there are times when we remain silent, thinking our restraint is a form of humility. In truth, silence in the face of someone's struggle, especially when we have the expertise to help, can be an act of neglect. By withholding what we know, we deny others the opportunity to benefit from our wisdom. Modern Stoicism teaches us that our abilities aren't just personal assets but tools meant to serve the greater good. As Marcus Aurelius said, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." Just as the well-being of the individual bee depends on the health of the hive, our knowledge should contribute to the well-being of the community. I came to this realization during a time when a close friend was struggling in their career. I could see how overwhelmed they were, and having gone through similar challenges, I knew how to help. However, I hesitated, fearing I might come across as patronizing or intrusive. This fear of being overbearing kept me silent longer than I should have. Upon reflection, I recognized that my silence wasn't protecting my friend. It was preventing me from offering the very help they needed. Stoicism teaches that withholding help is not a humble act. It's a failure to use our resources for the greater good. Eventually, I broke my silence and shared my experience. To my surprise, my friend was grateful for the advice. This taught me a crucial lesson. Offering your expertise isn't about showing off or trying to be superior. It's about being generous with your knowledge to help others grow. Stoicism encourages us to serve others, recognizing that by doing so, we contribute to the collective well-being. When we withhold our knowledge, we isolate ourselves, denying others the benefits of our experiences. But when we speak up, we build trust and foster collaboration, creating relationships rooted in mutual respect and shared growth. Speaking up when your expertise can help doesn't just serve the individual. It creates a culture of mutual support and collaboration. In both personal and professional settings, sharing knowledge strengthens relationships, builds trust, and promotes growth. Whether offering advice to a colleague, helping a friend solve a problem, or simply lending a hand, shared wisdom creates a positive ripple effect. Stoicism teaches that knowledge is not for hoarding, but for using to improve the lives of others. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in our own concerns, assuming others can figure things out alone. However, modern Stoicism reminds us that silence when we can help is not virtuous. It's a missed opportunity to contribute to the greater good. Sharing our knowledge doesn't diminish us, it enriches our relationships and communities. Marcus Aurelius's insight about the hive and the bee is a perfect analogy. Just as the bee depends on the health of the hive, the success of our communities relies on shared wisdom and experiences. Moreover, offering our expertise is an act of kindness to both the recipient and ourselves. It brings a sense of purpose and fulfillment, knowing that we've made a positive impact. In a world that can often feel disconnected or competitive, stepping forward to offer knowledge fosters a culture of kindness and collaboration. It's a simple yet profound practice that can transform not only individual lives but entire communities. The key is recognizing when we have the opportunity to use our skills for the benefit of others. By following the principles of Stoicism and speaking up when our expertise can help, we foster a culture of generosity, collaboration, and growth. By sharing our knowledge, we help others navigate challenges while also strengthening our own sense of purpose and connection. Through modern Stoicism, we learn that true fulfillment doesn't come from hoarding knowledge, but from using it to elevate those around us. When we use our expertise for the greater good, we create a thriving, supportive environment where everyone benefits. Number 6. Speak up to help others reach their potential. One of the most powerful and meaningful ways to use your voice is to help others reach their full potential. We all have unique talents and capabilities, but sometimes those around us may need a little nudge, encouragement, or support to realize what they're truly capable of. Whether it's offering a colleague the encouragement to step up to a new challenge, providing mentorship to someone who's uncertain about their next steps, or simply sharing words of reassurance when someone doubts themselves, your voice can be the catalyst for someone else's growth. The Stoics taught us that the pursuit of virtue isn't a solitary endeavor. It's best achieved in community. Helping others unlock their potential is not just an act of kindness, it is a shared act of virtue. As Marcus Aurelius said, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." In this way, the Stoics remind us that what helps the community benefits the individual, and what harms the community ultimately harms the self. When you see someone struggling to realize their potential, silence can be more damaging than you might think. By withholding your support, guidance, or even a simple word of encouragement, you might unknowingly be feeding their self-doubt and reinforcing their fear of failure. On the other hand, when you speak up and offer your support, you can spark a transformation in them, helping them take the next step toward growth. I remember a time in my career when I saw a colleague who had immense potential but was too afraid to take on a big project. They had the skills, the knowledge, and the capability to succeed, but the fear of failure held them back. I could sense the hesitation, and rather than staying silent or assuming someone else would step in, I decided to offer my support. I encouraged them to take the leap, pointing out their strengths and how this challenge would help them grow. It wasn't a grand gesture, it was just a few words of encouragement, but they made all the difference. That simple act of speaking up gave them the confidence to move forward, and the project turned out to be a great success. The whole experience taught me that speaking up for others, especially when they can't see their own potential, is one of the most powerful acts you can do. Not only did I help them grow, but I also contributed to a culture of encouragement, trust, and mutual support. We often think that helping others reach their potential is about giving them the right answers or showing them the way. But sometimes it's simply about believing in them and giving them the confidence to believe in themselves. By offering your support, you're investing in their future, which in turn improves the environment around you. It's easy to stay quiet when you see someone struggling or doubting themselves. Maybe you're afraid of overstepping or being perceived as intrusive. But the Stoic secrets tell us that helping others isn't about being perfect or giving the right advice. It's about showing up for them in their moment of need. Silence in these situations doesn't protect anyone. It only leaves them to navigate their doubts alone. Speaking up, on the other hand, can ignite a spark of confidence, setting someone on a path to extraordinary growth. In the end, the ripple effect of helping someone reach their potential doesn't just impact the individual, it strengthens the community as a whole. When was the last time you saw someone with untapped potential and chose to stay silent? How could your words have changed the trajectory of their journey? And more importantly, how might your encouragement have impacted the world around you? By embracing the Stoic principles of community and mutual growth, you can make a profound difference in someone's life and contribute to a culture of achievement and support. Remember, when you help others unlock their potential, you are not only investing in their future, you're shaping a better world for everyone. Speak up and watch as you ignite the spark that could change everything. As we wrap up today's video, remember this. Silence in critical situations is not neutrality. It is a betrayal of your values. The ability to speak up when it matters most is not just about personal growth. It's about contributing to the well-being of those around you and creating a more just, compassionate world. We all face moments where our voice can make a difference, so don't let those opportunities slip by. Share your stories, your challenges, and the lessons you've learned with others. Together, we can build a stronger community, rooted in courage, honesty, and empathy. If you found value in this video, please like, share, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life. Don't forget to turn on the notifications so you won't miss out on our upcoming videos. Let your voice be a force for positive change and turn every challenge into an opportunity for growth. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.